For those who do not intend to become professional programmers, the purpose of learning programming languages is usually to automate the tasks at hand. There are a lot of mechanical and tedious tasks in daily work, such as merging a bunch of Excel spreadsheets, generating employee cards using a roster, and so on. Manual processing is not only time-consuming and laborious, but also prone to errors. If you master programming, these things will be very easy. Just writing a program and these things will be done automatically in minutes. With this purpose, you need to learn 2 grades of content. The grade 1 is the basic logic of the program, such as variables, branches, loops, and so on. Almost all programming languages have this content, and the related keywords and syntax are also very similar. One with Excel experience can quickly master it, and the overall difficulty is relatively low. However, after learning this part of the content, you can only do some math problems, such as solving the chicken and rabbit problem, decomposing prime factors, etc. Practicing the brain is not a problem, and it is almost useless for assisting daily work. To apply what you have learned, you also need to learn the content of grade 2, which is structured data and related operations. The daily work that we hope to solve using programming is actually the data we need to process at hand. Most of these are Excel spreadsheets or data that can be filled into Excel spreadsheets. It has a name called structured data. Each row of the table is called a record, and each row has the same attributes, which is called fields. The entire table is a set of records. The operation of structured data refers to the operation of these tables, including filtering, grouping, join, and so on. Basically, corresponding operations or functions can be found in Excel. For example, grouping is equivalent to a pivot table in Excel. Join is equivalent to Excel's VLOOKUP. These are not difficult to learn. After mastering the knowledge of structured data, non-professionals can truly handle daily work with ease and efficiency.
So, what programming language should we learn? VBA is a programming language that comes with Excel, which is free of installation and has almost no configuration to do. Is that it?
Oh no, VBA is too basic and has weak support for structured data. Even simple tasks require writing large sections of code.
How about Python, which is advocated by all the training classes on the street?
Python has relatively good support for structured data, but you just cannot master it. Most of Python users are highly skilled professionals. Python itself does not provide direct support for structured data, and requires a third-party package. Installing and deploying it is a bit professional, which is a bit difficult for non-professionals. Debugging in Python is also very complicated, basically using the print method, and the operation is very cumbersome. However, these are not the key yet. Python mainly uses something called data frame to process structured data, but this thing is not a set of records, nor is it a table that we usually understand. It is actually a matrix, with rows and columns named, making it look like a table. However, when using it for table processing, unexpected results often arise. For example, using an employee table to count the number of people in each department, the conventional approach is to group the table by department and then count each group. The result should be a 2-column table consisting of department and number of people. But Python calculates it this way, as if it has performed the same counting action on each column. Because in Python, when a counting function is applied to a matrix, it will count every column. Unexpectedly, right? This correct result can only be calculated using the size function. However, this result is no longer a 2-dimensional data frame, but a 1-dimensional series, and it cannot continue to apply the methods of data frame. The grouping and aggregation result is also a structured data table with rows and columns. Is it not good to continue using data frame? Why create another thing? It's really puzzling. There are similar phenomenons, such as the result of a simple grouping should be a set of sets, but in reality it is a data frame group by, which is different from the first 2 types and cannot retrieve members by sequence numbers. There are a lot of similar sets in Python, each with its own adaptation scenarios and operation rules, which is dizzying. And the transitions between them are particularly smooth, and if you're not careful, you'll calculate out something you don't recognize. As a result, programming basically relies on Googling, and you don't know why even you are right, and you'll have to Google again next time.
What about SQL commonly used by professionals? It is said to be dedicated to structured data query.
Yes, SQL is the professional structured data query language, but it's even less likely. It is necessary to install the database in advance, which will block 90% of non-professionals. Before calculation, it is necessary to import data into the database and then export result after calculation, which is both troublesome and professional. The language ability is not yet complete, and loop judgment requires the use of more professional stored procedures. The code is so complex that even professionals cannot understand it.
This doesn't work, that doesn't work. What else is there?
There is SPL. This may be the only programming language suitable for non-professionals. The installation and configuration of SPL is very convenient. One-click installation, graphical guidance, no configuration required. Unlike traditional textual code, SPL code is written in an Excel-like grid, and the programming process is very intuitive, which can greatly reduce the entry barrier for non-professionals. A cell name is a natural variable name that intuitively references previous calculation results without the need to define variables. Click on the cell to view the calculation result of that cell on the right. Especially suitable for step-by-step calculations. Grid indentation can also visually represent code scope, such as loops and judgments. Programming errors are inevitable, and debugging takes up most of the development workload. SPL supports complete debugging functions, including setting breakpoints, step-in, skipping, and other functions. During debugging, intermediate calculation results can be directly displayed in a table format. SPL also has auxiliary debugging functions such as variable monitoring and exception checking. SPL has perfect programming capabilities. Its code is much less than VBA, and difficulty is far lower than Python. Of particular note, the structured data type of SPL is what we are accustomed to as a table, which is a set composed of rows of records. The full name of SPL is Structured Process Language, and its original intention was to perform structured data calculations. It not only has comprehensive functions but also strong processing capabilities. It can be said that among various programming languages, it has the most complete ability in this area, far exceeding VBA, SQL, and Python. Using structured data tables in SPL allows for intuitive coding, such as grouping and counting. After grouping, simply use count. SPL has only one type of set, with the same type before and after grouping, and can continue to be calculated using the same function. For example, it's still a set after grouping, and you can use the sequence number to retrieve one of the groups without creating anything new. SPL can quickly solve daily work problems with shorter code. For example, splitting one sheet to multiple sheets by a certain column. SPL only requires 3 lines. Simplify it into one line is also possible. For another example, splitting a column by separator and vertically copying other columns. VBA requires hundreds of lines of code, Python also requires dozens of lines, and SPL is much simpler. In daily work, there are still many data processing challenges that originally required manual operation, which is time-consuming and laborious, and can be easily solved with SPL. Finally, to summarize, SPL fully supports structured data and its operations, is easy to install and configure, and is simple to learn. It is a programming language more suitable for non-professionals than VBA, SQL, and Python, and can greatly improve the efficiency of workplace data processing.